What is good, fam? While Drake is out here looking like a desperate intern on the Adin Ross live stream, Kendrick Lamar just proved he is the permanent king of the culture by doing something no other rapper has ever pulled off before. We are witnessing a truly historic moment because Kendrick Lamar just saw his debut masterpiece, Good Kid Maad City, reach 700 consecutive weeks on the Billboard 200 chart as of April 3rd, 2026. Over 13 years of staying power is what that represents, and the project never once fell off the list of the most relevant albums in the world. Kendrick holds the title of the first hip-hop artist in the history of the genre to have a studio album reach this massive milestone, placing him in an elite group alongside legends like Metallica and Michael Jackson. Being mentioned in the same breath as the king of pop and the biggest rock bands in history means the debate about who really runs this game should be officially over for good. While Kendrick cements a legacy that will be studied in schools for the next 50 years, Drake was seen on a live stream on April 9th, 2026, admitting he is still in the studio, re-recording his upcoming album, Iceman, for the 100th time. Situations like these show some of the absolute nastiest work I have ever seen because a 14-year-old story is outperforming the hype of a rival before his new music even drops. Art is a different game than manufacturing products for a machine that is finally starting to break down, and the difference between those two approaches has never been more obvious. Attention is not something Kendrick has to beg for on a teenager's stream when his music has been doing the talking for 700 weeks straight without taking a single break. Fear is clearly driving Drake right now because he knows the world is waiting to see if he can even touch the bar Kendrick has set. Chasing his own tail is the only thing Drake is doing, while the real king sits on the throne watching the numbers pile up. Awkward internet appearances are the real embarrassment here because Kendrick is making history just by existing on the charts. Arguments about Drake being the bigger artist because of streaming numbers fall apart when you look at the consistency of the Kendrick catalog compared to the fast food hits Drake has been serving for years. Kendrick proved that a real narrative has a shelf life that will outlast any temporary buzz or viral moment Drake tries to create with his influencers. Re-recording his album over and over suggests Drake might be paralyzed by the fear of being outclassed on the world stage yet again. Public perception has shifted, and he is desperately trying to find a way to win back a crowd that has already moved on to something more substantial. Decades of dominance are represented by this 700-week record, and it shows a level of quality that Drake simply cannot replicate with his current strategy of quantity over quality. Stronger than ever, the legacy of Good Kid Maad City recently rose to number 54 on the Billboard 200 and even broke back into the top 10 of the top rap albums category. Eminem's Curtain Call is a greatest hits compilation that relies on popular singles to stay on the charts, but Kendrick achieved this with a conceptual studio album. People are still listening to this project as a complete work of art with a beginning, middle, and an end in 2026. Surges in these numbers are directly tied to what Kendrick did during Super Bowl 59 back on February 9th, 2025. Reminding everyone who really holds the crown was the goal of that performance, and it served as a cultural reset for the entire industry. Following that up with the Grand National Tour alongside SZA kept the momentum going, and that energy carried him all the way to this historic record. Legacy artists differ from those trying to stay relevant through gimmicks or legal battles, and Kendrick has proven that a lasting narrative will keep an audience with you forever. Public opinion is finally starting to see through the thin veneer of Drake's success while Kendrick continues to perform on the biggest stages in the world. Stuck in a legal standoff while Kendrick toured the globe, Drake has kept his music in a state of purgatory. Meaningful music is the reason Kendrick has a longer shelf life because it actually means something to the people who listen to it. People aren't just putting on Kendrick as background noise while they clean the house. They're really locking in on the story of a kid surviving out in Compton. Drake pumps out music that works like fast food, so it hits the spot for a minute, but it leaves you feeling hollow and hungry for real substance. This battle is officially over for Drake. Reaching the 700-week milestone proves that Kendrick is playing a game that most of these other rappers can't even understand. He doesn't stress over those first week sales or chasing viral moments because he recognizes he's building a catalog that people will still bump 20 years from now. That crown Drake is fighting for already belongs to a man who actually honors the culture of hip-hop, which means the war is done. When a 14-year-old album is still moving up the charts while Drake can't even focus on one solid project, the situation becomes very clear. Kendrick remains the undisputed king of staying power, while Drake looks like a man who is finally running out of time to prove he belongs at the top. This mess with Drake and his delayed Iceman album has evolved from a simple setback into a total creative disaster that he can no longer ignore. Fans have been watching him tease this project for almost 2 years, but new reports suggest the entire album is just rotting in a miserable state of legal and creative purgatory. An insider named Chris Blake Griffith reported on April 2nd of 2026 that Drake is refusing to drop the project until his massive lawsuit with UMG is finished. It looks like he is trying to use his own music as a hostage in these high-stakes negotiations, but the only people getting hurt are the fans who still expect a comeback. This stalling tactic proves how worried he is about his spot in the industry, and he is clearly trying to find a better deal before he potentially flops again. Public faith has reached an all-time low according to the betting platform Kalshi, which currently shows only a 35% chance of a May 2026 release date. People are starting to accept that Iceman might be canceled or delayed forever while he tries to calculate his next move. This damage is even worse because it follows the absolute disaster of his lead single from July of 2025. That track was called What Did I Miss? And the culture responded with a silence that echoed all the way through the charts. The song was a complete flop that fell out of the top 30 within a single month. And for an artist who used to own the radio, that is basically a death sentence. The audience is finally moving on from his recycled sound because they want music with actual soul instead of the same hand he has played for a decade. While he sits in the studio trying to find a flow that does not sound like a cheap imitation of Kendrick Lamar, the rest of the world is moving forward without him. These reports about him re-recording his verses for the 100th time are not about perfectionism. They are a sign of pure fear. He is terrified of another situation, like the song Not Like Us where he got out-rapped on the most public stage imaginable. He understands that if he drops another mediocre project, the narrative about him being a fading star will be locked in for good. This legal standoff with UMG is just a convenient excuse for a man who lost his creative compass and is now drifting in a sea of his own making. Drake is more concerned with business terms and renegotiations than he is with delivering quality art for his supporters. This entire situation shows that he is a businessman first and an artist second, which is why he is losing the battle against a true visionary like Kendrick. Kendrick Lamar does not need to drop music every year to stay relevant because his work is foundational to hip-hop culture. He can take 5 years off and still return to the biggest stage in the world because he creates moments that actually matter to people. Drake is out here fighting for every single stream through bot farms and expensive legal appeals, while Kendrick makes history just by existing on the charts. It is a pathetic sight to see a man who once called himself the king now begging for relevance through Twitch streams and leaked court documents. The 700-week record for the album Good Kid Maad City is a permanent reminder that Kendrick built his legacy on stone while Drake built his kingdom on sand. Every day that Iceman stays in the vault is another day the public realizes they do not miss him as much as he thinks they do. The culture has shifted toward authenticity and narrative instead of just chasing chart positions and viral dance moves. Drake loses for good because he is trying to win a marathon by taking shortcuts and using performance-enhancing legal teams. Kendrick is running a different race where the goal is artistic immortality rather than just being the highest seller for a single week. This contrast between a historic achievement and current desperation is the ultimate proof of who really won the beef. We are watching the slow decline of a pop star who stayed at the party too long while the world celebrates a real legend. Drake can re-record his album as many times as he wants, but he will never capture the magic of a project that stays on the charts for 13 years straight. Fans are tired of the excuses and the constant drama that surrounds every single move he makes. They want music that resonates with their lives rather than another playlist about how hard it is to be a millionaire in a gated community. Kendrick Lamar has given the people. Before we see how Drake tries to spin this next failure, tell me if y'all think he is officially cooked or if Iceman can actually save his legacy. Tell me in the comments if he is finished as a top-tier artist, no cap, and while you at it, hit that like and subscribe. Now, let's get into why Kendrick just set a bar that the boy might never clear again. Kendrick gives people the story they can carry for the rest of their lives, and that power is something Drake can never buy with all his money. Before we see how Drake tries to spin this next failure, tell me if you think he is officially finished as a top-tier artist or if he can save himself with the Iceman. Tell me in the comments because I want to know if you think he is cooked, and make sure you like and subscribe so you do not miss the latest updates. Kendrick officially set a bar that is so high that Drake might never be able to clear it again during his entire career. That 700-week milestone is not just a record, but a loud statement that Kendrick Lamar stands as the greatest artist of his generation. Drake faces a future where he stands as a legacy act who has to rely on old hits to get a reaction from a crowd that has moved on. The boy enjoyed a long run for a while, but the reign of the king remains here to stay, and there is nothing Drake can do to stop this momentum. We are going to keep monitoring this situation as Drake keeps stalling while Kendrick continues to dominate the history books with every new move. It is a wild time to be a hip-hop fan, and we are right here to break down every single savage detail as it happens on the ground. Kendrick Lamar stands as the 700-week king, while Drake remains a boy who is lost in the studio searching for a ghost he will never catch. Keep it locked here because the receipts are only going to get crazier. Victory already belongs to Kendrick in the battle of the charts and the battle of the culture, and now he is just running up the score for the history books to see how deep his dominance goes. Drake remains trapped in a loop of his own insecurity, and it is starting to look like he will never find his way out of the hole he dug for himself. The legacy of Kendrick Lamar remains officially untouchable, and the fall of Drake is something that we will be talking about for years to come.